Your soulmate made a final decision about you. And their next move will surprise you. My beloved child, something shifted in your soulmate's heart when no one was watching, and the decision they reached is far bigger than you could imagine. For a long time, they stood between two choices: continue hiding what they truly feel, or finally stop pretending that this connection means nothing. But now that uncertainty has disappeared. They have made a final decision about you, and what makes this moment so surprising is that they are no longer thinking only about their feelings, they are thinking about what they are going to do next. Don't skip, because the smallest detail behind this decision may completely change the way you understand their silence. Something happened inside them recently, a realization they could no longer push away. They remembered the moments when your presence felt different from everyone else, the conversations that stayed in their mind longer than expected, and the strange feeling that no matter how much distance appeared, their thoughts somehow returned to you. And then one question became impossible for them to ignore: what if this connection is something I should finally take seriously? That question changed everything. Stay till the end, because their answer was not what even they expected. Here is where everything becomes more intense. Your soulmate's final decision was not made in one emotional moment. They thought about it repeatedly. They imagined what would happen if they remained silent, and they imagined what could happen if they finally stepped forward. And suddenly, losing the possibility of something meaningful with you felt heavier than the uncertainty of making a move. That realization became the turning point. Don't skip. Their next move may surprise you because it is connected to something they have wanted to say for much longer than you realize. They are considering breaking an old pattern: less hesitation, fewer mixed signals, and more honesty about what has been happening inside their heart. But there is one part they have not revealed yet. Before making this decision, they quietly noticed something about you that changed their entire perspective. Something in your energy, your independence, or the way you stopped chasing answers made them realize that you might not remain emotionally available forever. And strangely, that did not push them away. It awakened something stronger. For perhaps the first time, they understood that waiting endlessly could mean missing a once-in-a-lifetime connection. Something huge is waiting for you, because the decision itself is only the beginning. And now comes the revelation that changes the meaning of everything. Your soulmate has decided that wondering about you from a distance is no longer enough. Their next move is about creating clarity. They want to know whether the connection they have been feeling exists beyond their imagination, and that means the silence between you may not remain the same forever. Stay till the end, because there is another layer to this. They have already imagined the moment when they finally stop holding back, the words they would choose, how you might react, and what could happen immediately afterward. But what surprised them most was their own answer when they asked themselves one final question: if I had one genuine opportunity with this person, would I take it? This time, there was no hesitation. The answer inside them was clear. Yes. And that is why their next move carries so much weight. They are not simply thinking about you anymore, they are preparing themselves to act differently because of what they have realized about you. Don't skip what comes next, because the real surprise is not only that they made a final decision, it is what they discovered about you immediately before making it, and why that discovery made turning away feel almost impossible. Something your soulmate noticed recently has completely changed the direction of their thoughts, and this is where the story becomes impossible to ignore. They began to realize that you were no longer standing in the same emotional place where they once expected to find you. There was something different about you, something calmer, stronger, and harder to predict. And strangely, instead of making them forget you, it made them think about you even more. Don't skip, because this realization became the hidden reason behind their final decision. They started replaying small memories they thought they had already moved beyond, a certain conversation, a moment when you understood them without needing a long explanation, the way your presence created a feeling they could never quite recreate with anyone else. Suddenly those memories stopped feeling ordinary. They began connecting them together, and what they discovered surprised them. You had left a deeper impression on their heart than they had ever admitted to themselves. Stay till the end, because this was only the first realization. The bigger one came when they imagined their future continuing exactly as it was, with nothing changing between you. That picture did not bring them peace. Instead, one thought kept returning: what if I wait so long that the opportunity disappears? Something huge is waiting for you, because that single question pushed them toward a choice they had avoided for far too long. Then came the moment they could no longer explain away. Your soulmate finally admitted something privately to themselves. Their hesitation was never proof that they felt nothing. In many ways, it was the opposite. The connection mattered enough that they kept overthinking every possible outcome. But now their thinking has changed. They no longer want endless questions without answers. They want clarity, and their next move is being shaped around that desire. Don't skip, because there is one surprising detail behind what they are planning. They do not want their next step to feel random or meaningless. They want it to reveal something genuine without saying everything at once. It could begin with a conversation, an unexpected moment of openness, or simply a different kind of attention that makes you notice immediately that something has shifted. They have realized that the smallest sincere action can sometimes reveal more than 1,000 hidden thoughts. And once they understood that, another possibility entered their mind: what if you have been waiting for clarity too? That possibility changed the emotional weight of their decision. Suddenly, taking one meaningful step toward you no longer seemed impossible. It started feeling necessary. But the biggest surprise is still ahead, because their final decision contains something they never expected themselves to be ready for. They are beginning to accept that whatever happens next, they would rather know the truth than remain trapped inside uncertainty. Stay till the end, because this changes everything about their next move. They are not preparing to approach you as the same hesitant person they were before. Something inside them has become more certain. They want you to see a side of them that has remained hidden behind silence and mixed signals, the side that remembers more than you think, feels more than they showed, and has finally understood why you were so difficult to forget. Something huge is waiting for you. Their next move is not being driven by a temporary emotion, it is being driven by a realization that has been growing quietly for much longer. And just when they thought they had understood everything, one final memory returned to them, a moment involving you that suddenly looked completely different from the way they remembered it before. That memory revealed something they had missed the first time, and what they understood from it is about to make their next decision even more surprising. The memory that returned to your soulmate was not dramatic when it first happened, but now they understand why it never completely left their mind. It was one of those quiet moments when something about you felt unusually genuine, the way you spoke, the way you responded, or perhaps the way you remained yourself without trying to impress anyone. At the time, they noticed it but did not understand its importance. Now everything looks different. Don't skip, because when they replayed that moment recently, one realization landed with incredible force: you had shown them something real long before they were ready to recognize it. And suddenly, several pieces began falling into place. They understood why certain memories of you kept returning when everything became quiet. They understood why comparing this connection with ordinary connections never seemed to work. Most importantly, they understood why walking away emotionally had always been harder than expected. Stay till the end, because this realization did something they never anticipated. It removed one of the biggest doubts standing between them and their next move. Instead of asking, "Why am I still thinking about this person?" they began asking, "What am I going to do about it?" That is an entirely different question, and their answer is becoming clearer by the moment. Now their thoughts have shifted from memories to possibilities. Your soulmate has started imagining what an honest new beginning between you could actually look like, not a perfect fantasy, but something genuine, steady, and completely different from the uncertainty of the past. Something huge is waiting for you, because this is where their final decision becomes more than an emotion. They are thinking about action. They are wondering how to approach you without repeating old patterns. They know that appearing suddenly and pretending nothing ever mattered would not be enough. Something meaningful has to change, and they know that change must begin with them. Don't skip, because there is one thing they have finally understood about you: you are not someone they can approach halfway anymore. If they step forward, they want that step to carry intention. That realization surprised them because it forced them to become clear about what they actually want, and beneath all the questions, one answer kept rising above everything else: they want the chance to discover what could happen if both of you finally stopped guessing and started understanding each other clearly. The possibility feels bigger now because they recognize something they once overlooked: the connection was never defined only by what happened between you. It was also defined by everything that remained unsaid, and this is where their next move takes an unexpected turn. They originally believed they needed the perfect moment before doing anything, but now they are beginning to realize that waiting for perfection may have been the very thing keeping them stuck. Stay till the end, because their mindset has changed from "someday" to "when the opportunity appears, I cannot ignore it again." They are preparing themselves for a moment when they can finally show you that their final decision is real. Not through grand promises, but through a noticeable difference in how they communicate, how they show up, and how clearly they allow their intentions to be seen. Don't skip, because the most surprising revelation has not arrived yet. While thinking about their next move, your soulmate suddenly realized there is one question they desperately want answered about you, a question that could determine how quickly they take that next step. They have wondered whether the door between you is truly closed, or whether somewhere beneath everything, there is still a small opening waiting for one sincere move. Something huge is waiting for you, because what they are considering doing to discover that answer is far more unexpected than the decision itself. A completely different thought has now entered your soulmate's mind, and this is the thought that could turn everything from silent feelings into a real moment of clarity. They have been wondering whether there is still an opening between you, not something obvious, not something they can easily prove, but a quiet possibility that the connection has not completely disappeared. Don't skip, because instead of waiting endlessly for a perfect sign, they are beginning to consider creating the moment themselves. That is the surprising shift. Before, they wanted certainty before taking a step. Now they understand that sometimes certainty only arrives after someone finally becomes brave enough to be sincere. They have imagined reaching out differently, speaking with more intention, or allowing one honest conversation to reveal what months of thinking could never answer. Stay till the end, because there is something they have realized about your silence too. They no longer automatically see it as rejection. Part of them wonders whether you simply stopped carrying the entire connection by yourself. And that possibility has changed their perspective dramatically. If you stepped back because you wanted something genuine instead of confusing, inconsistent energy, then they know their next move cannot look like the past. It has to feel different. It has to show growth. Something huge is waiting for you, because your soulmate is slowly understanding that if they want a different outcome with you, they must approach you as a different version of themselves. But something even more surprising happened when they imagined finally having that conversation with you. Instead of thinking only about what they wanted to tell you, they started thinking about what you might need to hear. That distinction matters. Don't skip, because it reveals how deeply their decision has evolved. This is no longer simply about satisfying their curiosity. They want to clear away uncertainty that may have existed between you. They want you to understand why their behavior may not always have matched what was happening inside them. And perhaps most importantly, they want to discover whether the connection can move forward without repeating the same confusing cycle. They know words alone will not create that change. Their actions afterward would have to match what they say. Stay till the end, because this realization has made them rethink their entire next move. They are no longer imagining one dramatic moment followed by silence. They are imagining consistency, small but meaningful steps that gradually show you their decision was not temporary. And somewhere inside that thought, they discovered something unexpected. The idea of being genuine with you now feels more peaceful than continuing to hide behind uncertainty. That feeling has given them confidence they did not have before. Uncertainty kept them frozen because they wanted to know exactly what would happen. Now they understand that the only thing they can control is whether they finally show up honestly. Something huge is waiting for you, because that change in mindset has removed the final excuse they kept giving themselves. Don't skip. They have started thinking less about avoiding an uncomfortable moment and more about avoiding a future where they look back and wonder what might have happened if they had simply been real with you. And then one thought hit them harder than all the others. What if you were never asking for perfection? What if you were simply waiting to see something genuine? Stay till the end, because that question opened another door inside their mind. They suddenly remembered something about the way you once responded to them, a tiny detail they overlooked completely at the time. Now they believe that detail may have been telling them something important all along. And when they finally understood what it could mean, their entire plan for approaching you changed again. What your soulmate remembered about you was so small that anyone else might have forgotten it, yet for them it suddenly became the missing piece. It was the way you once responded when they allowed a little honesty to show through, the calm attention you gave them, the softness in the moment, the feeling that they did not have to explain every emotion for you to understand something deeper was happening. Back then, they moved past it because they were uncertain about themselves. Now they are looking at that same memory differently. Don't skip, because they have begun wondering whether you recognized this connection long before they were ready to admit it. That possibility has shaken their old assumptions. Perhaps the opportunity was never completely missing. Perhaps hesitation simply prevented them from seeing it. Stay till the end, because this realization has made their final decision stronger. Instead of waiting for you to make everything obvious, they are beginning to understand that their next move must reveal what they are willing to bring into this connection. And something huge is waiting for you, because they have decided that if another genuine opportunity appears, they do not want to hide behind uncertainty again. But their thinking goes even deeper now. They have started asking themselves what they would do differently if they could begin again from this exact moment. The answer surprised them. They would listen more carefully. They would stop assuming they already knew what you were thinking. They would allow meaningful conversations to happen instead of retreating whenever emotions became difficult to understand. Don't skip, because there is one decision underneath all these thoughts that they have barely admitted even to themselves. If they step toward you, they want to give this connection a genuine chance rather than another half-finished beginning. That is why their next move cannot be empty. They know you may notice immediately whether their energy has truly changed. So instead of trying to impress you with perfect words, they are considering something much simpler and more powerful, showing you consistency. Stay till the end, because that is the part they never expected to want. They once believed one big moment would answer everything. Now they understand that the strongest revelation may come through what happens after that first moment. Will they remain present? Will they communicate clearly? Will their actions finally match what they have been feeling? Inside themselves, they have already decided that this time, the answer needs to be different, and then came the once-in-a-lifetime realization they could no longer ignore. Meeting someone who leaves this kind of emotional imprint is not something they can assume will happen endlessly. Your soulmates suddenly understood that some connections become meaningful precisely because they awaken parts of you that ordinary encounters never reach. Something huge is waiting for you, because they now believe you may have been one of those rare people in their life. Don't skip. That does not mean they know exactly how everything will unfold, but it means they are no longer willing to dismiss what they felt simply because the outcome is uncertain. Their final decision is becoming remarkably simple. They want truth instead of endless guessing, clarity instead of unfinished questions, and a real opportunity to discover what this connection could become. Stay till the end, because just when they thought their decision was complete, another surprising thought appeared. What if you have changed too? What if the person they approach now is stronger, clearer, and completely different from the person they remember? Instead of making them retreat, that possibility has made them even more curious. And what they are preparing to do when they finally encounter this new version of you could become the biggest turning point yet. There is one possibility your soulmate cannot stop thinking about now. The version of you they remember may no longer be the version of you they will meet next. Something has changed. Your energy feels less predictable. Your presence feels stronger, and the distance that once seemed temporary now feels capable of becoming permanent if nothing changes. Don't skip, because instead of making them lose interest, this realization has made their final decision even stronger. They understand that they cannot return with the same hesitation and expect everything to remain exactly where they left it. If they make their next move, they must meet you where you are now, not where you used to be. Stay till the end, because this is where something surprising happened inside them. They imagined seeing you completely confident without them, moving forward without waiting for explanations, and they suddenly understood something they had overlooked. Your value was never dependent on whether they recognized it quickly enough. That realization humbled them. It also made them question every moment when they assumed there would always be more time. Something huge is waiting for you, because they have stopped thinking of this connection as something they can leave unanswered forever. Their decision has crossed a line inside their heart, and going back to pretending nothing matters no longer feels possible. Then another realization arrived, one even they were not prepared for. Your soulmate began imagining the first genuine conversation between you after everything that has changed. But this time, their mind did not create some perfect speech. Instead, they imagined listening. They imagined discovering who you have become, what you now expect, and whether there is still space for something meaningful to grow between you. Don't skip, because this changes the meaning of their next move completely. They are not simply planning to reveal feelings and expect you to accept them. They understand that your feelings matter equally, and that clarity has made their decision more mature than before. Stay till the end, because they have also accepted something powerful. You may surprise them. You may not react exactly as they imagined. You may have questions. You may need to see consistency before believing anything has truly changed. And somehow, they are preparing themselves for that possibility instead of running from it. They know one conversation cannot rewrite everything. But one sincere conversation could open a door that uncertainty kept closed for far too long. Something huge is waiting for you, because they are finally willing to discover what is actually behind that door. But here is the twist they never expected when all of this began: their final decision about you has quietly become a decision about themselves too. They have decided they no longer want hesitation to control meaningful moments in their life. Don't skip, because this is why their next move could feel so different. Whether it begins with a simple message, an honest conversation, or an unexpected moment of openness, they want to show up without hiding behind the old version of themselves. And there is one final thought making this impossible for them to ignore. Stay till the end. They recently asked themselves, if I knew this was my last opportunity to be completely honest about this connection, what would I want this person to know? Their answer came instantly. They would want you to know that you mattered more than their silence ever showed. Something huge is waiting for you, because after discovering that answer, they began forming another decision, one that goes beyond simply approaching you. It involves what they want to happen after the truth is finally spoken. And that next decision may be the most surprising one of all. Now the final layer is beginning to reveal itself, because your soulmate has moved beyond wondering whether they should approach you. They are thinking about what happens after that first honest moment. This is where their decision becomes much bigger than you expected. Don't skip, because they have realized they do not want to reopen this connection only to disappear into uncertainty again. If the door between you opens, even slightly, they want to handle it differently. They want to understand you instead of guessing about you. They want conversations that leave fewer unanswered questions. Most surprisingly, they are beginning to imagine what it would feel like to have you become a steady part of their world rather than someone they continuously remember from a distance. Stay till the end, because that thought surprised even them. For so long, their mind focused on individual memories and unfinished moments, but now those memories are turning into a bigger question: could this actually become something lasting if we finally gave it the attention it deserves? Something huge is waiting for you, because the answer forming inside them is stronger than the hesitation that once controlled everything. They are willing to find out. And once they admitted that, another truth became impossible to hide: they were never searching only for a way to speak to you. Deep inside,